Morrowind creates the best adventures. You think you're just going somewhere to do a simple quest, and suddenly you're in the middle of a full-blown journey packed with surprises. That's something I absolutely love about this game. It's filled with amazing content and makes you want to explore every corner of the map because you never know what kind of crazy thing you might stumble upon. I'm playing Morrowind for the first time, and I've already finished the Mage's Guild and Telvanni questlines. Recently I joined the temple and started doing a few of their quests, and one of those pilgrimages really stood out. It's such a perfect example of how incredible Morrowind's adventures can be if you're willing to immerse yourself and explore beyond the quest destinations. This particular adventure completely blew me away. It was so exciting that it would honestly be a waste not to share it with all the details. So let's get started. Okay, so I headed to Vivek Temple to get my next quest. Andrin sent me on a pilgrimage, and I've already been through a few different pilgrimages, but this one was so interesting. You have to go to Sanctus Shrine completely silent. Basically, you can't talk to anyone during the whole trip. And the shrine? It's on the total opposite side of the map from Vivek, so you pretty much have to cross the entire Vardenfell Island. At first, I thought, alright, I can just walk there, but that would take a lot of time. Knowing me, I would want to visit every tomb on the way, so I would never make it there. After a few tombs, I'd be over-encumbered, have to drop items at my base and start again. My first idea was to skip the vow of silence for now, use sealed striders and boats to get to the shrine, mark the spot, then go back to Vivek, take the vow, and just recall there. But that felt like cheating, and where's the fun in that? So instead, I decided to jump my way across Morrowind. That sounded way more exciting. Up to that point, I hadn't really used the jump spell much. I was more into levitation and water walking, so this was a fun and different way to travel. I went to Balmora, checked all the available effects I could use at that point, and finally made my ultimate travel spell. Besides jump 100, I fortified strength and speed and added feather. If you're over-encumbered, you walk slower and your jump height decreases, so strength made perfect sense. Strength also affects fatigue, and with low fatigue, your jumping becomes weaker, so boosting strength was a must. Speed helps you move faster and increases the distance covered when jumping forward. Feather reduces your encumbrance, allowing you to carry more without getting encumbered, and it also slows down how fast your fatigue drains. All of these effects made sense if I wanted to jump high and far. By the way, thanks for all the tips you gave me in the comments. Your suggestions inspired me to create this spell, and without them, I'm not sure this adventure would even have happened. I just wanted to test super jump when you shared some of your recipes, and when I got the quest for the silent pilgrimage, the idea popped into my head instantly. I just used a slightly different combination of effects because I wanted to experiment on my own. I also made a slow fall spell for 10 seconds, which was probably a mistake. 1 or 2 seconds would have worked much better. Some of you mentioned in the comments about a shorter break, but I thought, why not to try 10? Later I realized why that wasn't the best idea. Anyway, I tested the jump and it was amazing. One jump from Balmora and I was in Caldera. That's just crazy. Then I went to Vivek, swore the vow of silence, and started my expedition. My first jump didn't go so well because I tried to break it with levitate, which lasts 30 seconds in the version of the spell I had. Definitely a bad idea, as I had to wait a long time before I could jump again. So I switched to my slow fall spell instead. Still not perfect, but it worked better. The most annoying part was, of course, the cliff racers. After almost every jump, I had to deal with a few of them. But hey, at least it's just one spell and the creature is gone. It wasn't that easy to defeat at the beginning of the game. My plan was to go in a straight line along the left side of Red Mountain. I had already explored a similar path and didn't want to reveal too much of the map in new areas. It's just nice to know where you've been, carefully check the area, and where you might want to go on your next expedition. All the revealed areas on my map are places I've explored thoroughly, including most of the tombs and ruins you can find there. Jumping to my destination was super fun. One of my landings was on a manor district roof in Aldrun, which was awesome. By the way, it only took me 7 jumps from Vivek to Aldrun. How about jumping over the ghost fence? The game doesn't stop you. You can just fly over it. Morrowind doesn't limit you in any way, and I love that. Later, I spotted something that looked like a Seed Strider corpse and a tomb nearby. I really wanted to explore it, but I didn't want to risk talking to anyone and breaking my vow. I decided to check it after the pilgrimage. During my next jump, I saw another interesting spot that actually appeared on my map, so I also planned to check that later. After exactly 13 jumps, I reached the Sanctus Shrine. Only 13 jumps to cross the whole map. If I had the boots of blinding speed that many of you mentioned in the comments, it would probably have been even fewer. Once I completed the pilgrimage and the vow of silence was lifted, I could finally talk again. Time to explore. I went inside a nearby hut and met a lady who turned out to be a trainer. When I saw she trained acrobatics, of course, I had to check it out. It would have been perfect if she was the master trainer, considering I literally jumped my way there. But nope, she couldn't teach me more than I already knew. After leaving the hut, I noticed another island in the distance. While making my landing there, I spotted a tower and a shipwreck. Naturally, I had to check it out. I found a door and decided to explore. There were a few easy creatures, but also a bone lord, which was a bit of a headache in the narrow hallways. One mistake and it's over. I tried using summons, but my conjuration skill is still too low to cast hunger and daydream easily, though that will change later. Anyway, I managed to defeat it. After exploring the hallway, I found a nice open area for lectures. It had benches, a lectern, and an open book. The only weird thing is that there were a lot of creatures wandering around upstairs, not anymore of course, so it wasn't exactly the safest space to use. But since Telvanni members were there, it makes perfect sense. They're crazy after all. Next to the open box stood a woman, a spellsword hired by House Telvanni. She really liked me, which isn't surprising since I had already finished the Telvanni questline. There were also two more Telvanni members, a healer and a bard. The bard gave me a small tip about an orc in Nisus, apparently an ideal knight. I'm guessing he's one of the master trainers. I once heard a similar rumor about the best acrobatics trainer, but back then I didn't care much about acrobatics, so I never wrote down their name or location. I learned my lesson. Now I write down everything important. I also found another door leading to a really interesting area. I fought a few more creatures, including a Dremora carrying a Daedric axe worth 50,000 gold. I love how every random adventure gives me expensive loot like that. In that place, I was also attacked by a Telvanni member. I didn't want to fight him, but he started it, so what could I do? Upstairs, I found a cozy bedroom and started going through the crates. Two of them were filled only with silver weapons and another with steel armor pieces. So either this guy was super organized or maybe he hunted vampires. Not sure if vampires in Morrowind are weak to silver, but that's common in fantasy worlds. I even found a book about vampires there, so maybe he was doing some kind of research. Okay, so the whole tower was a really interesting place, but eventually it was time to check out the shipwreck nearby. So far, I've never found anything too exciting on shipwrecks. Maybe a grand soul gem once, but that's about it. But this one actually turned out to be pretty unique. On the lower level, I found a lot of pillows, like everywhere. They were scattered all over the place and even packed inside crates. I thought, that's interesting. Then I went up to the cabin and found an invoice. And what was written inside absolutely blew my mind. It said that 40 pillows were supposed to be delivered to a lady in Balmora. And since Morrowind has taught me how well everything is designed, I instantly knew, alright, I'm taking all the pillows and finding this lady. So I took the invoice, but to be honest, I almost left it behind. Lucky I didn't. Then I grabbed every single pillow. And yep, exactly 40 of them. Before heading back to Balmora, I still had two places I wanted to check out, spots I had seen while jumping toward the shrine earlier. During one of my jumps, I landed in the water. And of course, as always, I was immediately attacked by slaughterfish. Okay, so the first place I went back to turned out to be a stronghold occupied by orcs. They were hostile, of course, so I had to clear them out. Once I did, I went into the first building and found two propellons. I'd seen a few before, but never really used them because I didn't have any propellon indices back then. This time I had some in my inventory, but wasn't even sure how they worked. I clicked on one of the portals and got teleported to another propellant chamber, but I couldn't go back. At first, I thought the indices were one-time use and that I'd need new ones each time, but then I noticed they were still in my inventory and each had a different name. So apparently to travel between propellant chambers, you need matching indices. Nice! I didn't know that before this adventure, so I even learned something new. I reloaded my save because I didn't want to travel to this stronghold again. It's pretty close though, so I could probably get there in just 2 jumps. With this jump setup, everything feels so close. Then I talked to a lady nearby and checked what she was selling, and wow, she had a Grandmaster alchemy set. First time I've ever seen a full one. Up to that point, I had a master set from Caldera's Mages Guild, plus a Grandmaster mortar I probably borrowed from somewhere, but I honestly don't even remember where. If I had to guess, probably from some Telvanni building. Anyway, she also trained alchemy, conjuration, and mysticism. My first thought was, maybe she's a master alchemy teacher because she had this awesome set. But I started with conjuration since I really needed to train it, and finally someone could actually help me. I got it up to level 81 before she refused to teach me more. Then I tried alchemy, and yes, it turned out she's a master trainer. I maxed it out to 100. I couldn't believe it. I actually found a master teacher completely by accident. The whole expedition was already feeling super rewarding, but I wasn't done yet. I still wanted to check the other buildings in the area and the tomb I saw earlier near the Sealed Strider corpse, and of course find the pillow owner. My inventory was packed to max carry weight and I didn't have much gold left after learning my skills, so I sold some potions and alchemy ingredients to afford the new alchemy set later. I decided to come back for it after I finished exploring and then recalled to Balmora's Mages Guild, since that's where my mark was set and still is. I wouldn't be surprised if I leave it like that until the end of the game. So I checked all the nearby buildings and fought a few more orcs. I wanted to test my conjuration skill, so I summoned my favorite pair, Hunger and Daedroth, and it went without any hassle. I finally had a 100% chance to cast both. So yeah, I definitely have to start experimenting with custom summon spells. You guys mentioned in the comments about summoning an army, and honestly, that's such a brilliant idea. With my conjuration skill now, it might actually be possible. And thinking about it more, remember how a slaughterfish quickly attacked me earlier? They do that all the time in Morrowind. I wonder if I could summon a creature to handle them for me, since as a mage, I can't really fight underwater, or at least I don't know how, because my spells don't work there. I can only throw spells at the surface and defeat them if they come close enough. But if all summons, or at least some of them, can go into the water, I could create a summon spell to call an army and explore underwater safely. I really have to try that. I love how Morrowind stimulates my brain. It makes me ask questions all the time and try out weird ideas. At least that's what I wanted to say before I saw this comment under one of my other videos. And now I feel a bit dumb. How did I not think about using touch spells underwater? Such tunnel vision. I love how Morrowind stimulates my brain. Right at the beginning of the game, I decided I wanted to use ranged spells. Why would I want to get close to enemies, right? But they don't work underwater, and believe me, I tried, even though it made no sense to test. I've never played any other Elder Scrolls as a mage, so I didn't have experience with touch spells before. It's so funny, sometimes we just overcomplicate things. An army of creatures when I could have just used a touch spell. What was I thinking? You have no idea how many times I ended up baiting slaughterfish close to the surface just so I could hit them with ranged spells. It's pretty annoying since the creatures quickly move deeper if you're not submerged, so I had to do it a few times, especially at the beginning when my ranged spells were pretty weak. That hint will definitely boost my quality of life in Morrowind. Okay, but back to the adventure. I left a Daedric axe underground that I found earlier just to make sure I had enough space for any treasures I might find in a tomb. I quickly went to the tomb, but it was really small and didn't have anything interesting. Well, except another bone lord, but this time it was pure fun to deal with thanks to my improved conjuring power. After that, I quickly went back, took the axe from the ground, bought the new alchemy set and recalled to Balmora. Funny thing, somehow I wasn't even over encumbered, so I didn't have to make a bigger mess in the Mages Guild. I decided to immediately look for the Pillow Lady. I found her house pretty quickly and started talking to her. And guess what? She instantly brought up the pillow shipment. How awesome is that? What's funny though is that she took the invoice, not the pillows. And you know, I almost didn't even take the invoice from the shipwreck because I thought only the pillows would matter. But no, it's actually the opposite. And honestly, it makes perfect sense. The invoice is the real proof that I found the wreck and didn't just show up with some random pillows. And as for her not wanting the actual pillows, well, would you want to take soggy pillows from a shipwreck? I sure wouldn't. As a reward, she gave me a special comfy pillow. Isn't that sweet? Now I wonder if that pillow can be used somehow, but knowing Morrowind, it probably has some purpose, even if it's just a small detail. Anyway, I decided to leave the 40 pillows in her house as a kind of symbolic gesture. Okay, I just wanted to get rid of it, so maybe it wasn't the nicest thing to do, especially since I left it on a carpet and it's probably completely ruined now. By the way, funny thing, I'd actually done a quest for her before. I helped her with the cave rats during one of my first Fighters Guild missions. I completely forgot about her and the pillows in her house. The dialogue about the cave rats reminded me. No idea how I could forget that. Yeah, I joined the Fighters Guild but only did a few quests. It just didn't feel like a good fit for my mage character. So instead, I joined the temple, and honestly, that choice led to this whole awesome adventure. Morrowind is wild. This entire trip took about half an hour, and I did so many things. It's crazy. But that's what I love about this game. All you really have to do to have the best adventures is take a quest, start traveling, and explore along the way. Immerse yourself in the world, and suddenly you've got a story like this one. I thought I would just have a nice experience using jumping to travel for the first time, maybe see a few tombs and find one or two expensive items. And yes, I did find an expensive item, a Daedric axe, but beyond that I discovered a Telvanni tower on a small island with a lecture space and an interesting bedroom. On top of that, there was a shipwreck full of pillows, which turned out to be a surprisingly fun little quest. I love those little touches in this game. I also finally figured out how Propylon works and found a master alchemy teacher. Now I also have a grandmaster alchemy set and my conjuration skill is at a nice level 2. Morrowind is really awesome. Like I said before, you just have to take it slow, look around and explore different things and suddenly crazy adventures start happening. I still have so many things to share that happened many hours before that, but I enjoyed that trip so much that I wanted to share it right away. What do you think about my trip? Have you had any crazy adventures like this? I bet you have. Probably even better. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, thanks for watching.